This is the one. If you've ever seen Jeremy Clarkson, a man who is nearly 2 meters tall, cram himself into this tiny red box and try to drive it through the BBC offices, you know exactly what this is. The Peel P50 is a car that became a global meme. Most people see it as a joke, a gimmick. The worst car in history? Maybe. Now, here's a fact. In 2016, this exact joke from 1964 sold at a Sotheby's auction for $176,000. $176,000. For a car that's smaller than some refrigerators, has an engine from a moped, and, well, we'll get to that. How? How did this suitcase on wheels transform from a bizarre 1960s failure into a collector's dream? Today, we're not just going to laugh at its size. We are going to break down where it came from, what engineering madness or genius is hidden inside, and why it is, perhaps, the most important microcar ever made. This is the full story of the Peel P50. Facts. Where did you even come from? To understand the P50, you have to understand where and by whom it was made. And no, it wasn't a major car company. The year, 1962. The place, the Isle of Man. This isn't quite the UK, it's a crown dependency famous for its dangerous TT motorcycle races. The company was called the Peel Engineering Company. And here is the first little-known fact: they didn't make cars at all. They were pioneers in fiberglass. Their main business was boats and motorcycle fairings. Cars were a weird side project. They just wanted to see what else they could do with this new, lightweight material. The timing was perfect. Britain was still reeling from the 1956 Suez Crisis. Gas was expensive. Bubble cars, like the BMW Isetta, were already a hit. But Peel's designer, Cyril Cannell, wanted to go further. He asked himself, what is the absolute minimum a car can be? The result was the Peel P50. Let's run through the stats, just so you grasp the scale. Length, 137 centimeters, 54 inches. Width, 99 centimeters, 39 inches. Weight, 59 kilograms. Or 130 pounds. Yes, 59 kilos. That is less than the average adult man who would be driving it. Under the hood, or rather, under the seat, was a 49cc two-stroke DKW engine. The same kind you'd find on a moped. It produced 4.2 horsepower and had a 3-speed manual gearbox. Top speed? About 60 kilometers per hour, or 38 miles per hour, if you were brave. And going downhill. But here's another little-known fact. The P50 was never marketed as a car. In their brochures, Peel called it a saloon scooter. This was brilliant marketing. They were trying to sell it not as a cheap car, but as a luxury scooter. One with a roof, a door, and a windshield wiper. Just one. Its motto was simple: one adult and one shopping bag. And they weren't kidding. Nothing else would fit. So how many of these wonders were produced? Hundreds of thousands? Thousands? No. Over all 3 years of production, from 1962 to 1965, only 47 original Peel P50s were ever made. That's where the $176,000 price tag comes from. This isn't just a car, it's an artifact. It's believed only about 27 of them survive today. The company tried to save itself. They thought, maybe the problem is that it only has one seat? So, in 1964, they released the improved model, the Peel Trident. It was a 2-seater with a futuristic bubble top. It looked like a prop from a cheap sci-fi movie. But it had one feature. That bubble top didn't have proper ventilation. On a sunny day, it turned the cabin into an oven, focusing the sun's rays directly onto the driver and passenger. The car earned the nickname, the microwave on wheels. It was a flop. The Trident sold even worse, and in 1974, the Peel Engineering Company ceased to exist. And for decades, the P50 was forgotten. It was just a weird footnote in automotive history. until Jeremy Clarkson drove one into an office. But before we get to its legacy, let's look closer. Because the devil, and all the P50s, genius, is in the details. Features, it's not a bug, it's a feature. When you build a 59-kilo car and sell it for £199, you have to make compromises. But with the P50, compromise is a weak word. It's more like a philosophy taken to its absolute extreme. The most famous feature, the Peel P50, has no reverse gear. None. At all. The moped gearbox just didn't have one. So what do you do if you drive into a dead end or need to park? This is where the genius comes in. On the back of the car, right below the license plate, there is a large chrome handle. The parking procedure was as follows. 1. Stop the engine. 2. Get out of the car. 3. Walk to the back. 4. Grab the handle. 5. Lift the 30-kilo, 66-pound rear end of the car. 6. And manually spin it in the direction you want to go. This was not an engineering oversight. This was a deliberate design choice. Cannell calculated that adding a reverse gear was expensive, complicated, and, most importantly, would add an extra 10 kilos of weight. Getting out and turning the car by hand was free, simple, and honestly, faster than parallel parking. This is absolute minimalism in action. But the madness doesn't stop there. Let's talk comfort. Where's the engine? In the trunk? Under the hood? No. The engine is inside the cabin. It sits right next to your leg. No soundproofing. No firewall. You are literally sharing a tiny box with a loud, hot, two-stroke engine. Imagine the vibration, the noise, and the smell of gas and oil. What about safety? Well, the car has one door. On the left, of course. And yes, it's a suicide door. It opens against the direction of travel. If that latch failed at speed, the wind would rip it open instantly. The headlight. Also one. It's mounted in the center. It looks strange, but in 1960s Britain, this was perfectly legal for three-wheeled vehicles. It was cheaper. The windshield wiper. 1. A tiny little blade. It barely coped with the rain, but technically it was there, which allowed the car to be classified as enclosed. Quote. Suspension? Barely. Wheels? The size of dinner plates. Driving this thing was an act of faith. The car was tall and narrow, making it incredibly unstable in corners. But on the bright side, at 60 kilometers per hour, it wasn't a long way to fall. The P50 isn't a car in the modern sense. It's a helmet with wheels. It's an idea, rendered in fiberglass, that asks one question. What do you actually need to get from point A to point B? And Peel Engineering's answer was 3 wheels. A seat, a steering wheel, and a handle to turn you around. Everything else is a luxury. As a commercial project, the Peel P50 was a total failure. 47 units sold isn't even a rounding error. It was too weird, too small, and too impractical, even for the thrifty 1960s. But history has a strange sense of humor. When Jeremy Clarkson drove the P50 through the BBC offices, he did for the car what all of its 1960s advertising failed to do. He turned it from a failure into a legend. He showcased its absurdity, and the world fell in love with it. Today, the P50's legacy lives on. Another company, called P50 Cars, now produces official, licensed replicas. They look identical but are built to modern standards. And they have one very interesting upgrade. You can buy a gas version. But the big seller is the E50, a fully electric version. And you know what it has? Yep. It has a reverse gear. An electric motor doesn't care which way it spins. The problem that Cyril Cannell solved 60 years ago with a chrome handle is now solved by a button on the dash. The Peel P50 isn't just the world's smallest car. It's a monument to pure, distilled minimalism. It's proof that sometimes the most insane, impractical, and failed ideas eventually become the most valuable. So the next time you see a P50, don't just laugh at it. Well, you can laugh a little. But just remember, That joke on wheels costs more than a new Porsche.